This is William with William Burdine Photography. I wanted to bring up an issue that happens pretty rarely, but usually when you're setting up your camera for the very first time. And I want to teach you how to avoid this because this is what happened with a brand new Canon EOS R3 that we use for a headshot. Now, the photographer that I was working with, she brought this amazing R3 and we set most of it up before this headshot. And I think we got most of it right, except that I think we got something wrong. And I'll reveal that to you in a little bit. But here's what happens. When you get a brand new camera from Canon, you'll have this gold wrench setting here that you can set up your file numbering for continuous and then a preset for your file name. Now, what happens with this preset is it starts out with 0x9A and then the file numbers start at 0001. Now you're not going to see that in this demo right here. I'm going to I'm going to get back to this in a second, but let's talk about setting up your camera for success. And I'm specifically talking to volume photographers, so the ones that shoot headshots, the ones that shoot weddings, and the ones that shoot events. Those three industries of headshots, weddings, and events, you guys are going to be shooting well over 1,000 photos, most likely before anybody else does, because most people will shoot a couple hundred, but it's pretty rare that you'll shoot over 1,000. And the reason why we're talking about over 1,000 is because in this circumstance, what we have is we have a 4-digit camera preset number, which is this here, your file name. In this example off of Canon, they set it to IMG underscore. In the camera straight out of the factory is 0x9A. And then with the file numbering, it was set to continuous. And so it started at 0001, I believe. And then that's where it started off, which means it'll go up to 9999. And that's the problem that I'm going to talk to you about today. Because here we are in Lightroom, and in Lightroom, right here in the library section, we're in the library section of Lightroom, and what we're looking at here is we're looking at the capture time. So you don't see the capture time over here on your metadata. Let's fix that because that's going to be an important part of this discussion. So I'm going to hit customize, and we're going to come down here and we're going to grab some information. Now there's a lot of information that is written to a card. All this is all information that can be captured by the card and put into the file. So this is amazing. All this stuff it's incredible. It's all called the IPTC data. You'll see some of it's like the copyright status, terms. All this stuff, the different camera manufacturers allow you to put in. And one of those exactly is your date and time, and that's really, really important because somehow the date and time got a little boogered up with this situation, and we'll get back into that also. So what we want to see is on this one, I want to see the shutter time, the f-stop, and the aperture. I kind of want to see the camera and the lens setting as well. But more importantly, for the discussion of where we're going in this conversation, I want the capture time and date, because the capture time and date is how we're seeing all of these files through the library module. Now this is really, really, really important because most people think all of these populate by file name that was written by the camera. Often, let me just hit done so all these populate over here. But yeah, you can change this to when you ordered it, edit time, rating. Like you can view to see these any way you want. Maybe if you have GPS turned on, you can see the photos that were done by city, state, and county. Like if I actually got into all my folders over here on the left, we could probably pick out that GPS information. Maybe you just want to see pictures that were shot at 35 millimeter versus 50 millimeters, or focal lengths, or shutter speeds. And it's a good way to actually populate this top thing full of information. You can also select from up there, but we'll get into that too. What I want to talk about is I really want to talk about this capture time. Now, this capture time for this file and this file specifically, and I'll show you why these two files specifically are important, because this was when the rollover happened in between 799 and 800, but this file name is 9998. This was the 9098 shutter actuation on this brand new Canon R3. You would think that, hey, wait a second, how come it wasn't at 0001? Could be from the factory that it got tested. Could be, I think maybe she bought this secondhand and it hadn't been used very much. However, the file name got to 9998 doesn't really matter. That's just the name of this file. And it was shown that it was shot at 4:48:34 in the morning. Not true. This was not shot that early in the morning. We were there at 6. We started probably taking pictures around 7:30. We had about 85, 90 people, and we're shooting anywhere between 8 and 12 headshots per person, which, if you do that math really quickly, that's over 1,000 shutter actuations for what we're capturing. And if you look down here, you can see that there's 1,478 photos here. So we definitely went over 1,000 shutter actuations. And technically, what this is like, you get almost 10,000 before it flips over. So you're pretty safe. So yeah, let me retract that really quick, because I was saying 1,000 and it flips, but it's actually 10,000 and it flips. So chances are this file came from, I think it was a used camera, but it was a very well taken care of one. It even smelled brand new. If you did the Jared Pullen sniff test, it would. All right, I digress. Anyway, so 10,000 photos, which is conceivable to take during a wedding or events, probably not headshots. But so let's talk weddings and events. You go over 10,000 photos in a day, 2 days. Like, okay, a wedding could be 2 days, could be 3 days. Corporate events that I've shot, I have been as long as 4 days long. So it's really conceivable that you can go over 10,000 photos. So once you get to 9999, where does it go? 0001 or maybe 0000. I didn't pay attention that closely to the camera to see if we actually had that, and I don't have all the original files. I only have what was culled out that I needed to edit for this job. But what happens here is that we got some issues. We got some issues, and I'll show you what the issues are. We're viewing this by capture time, which means here's an employee card, his name, and here's all the pictures that we shot of this person. Here's the employee with their name card and all the pictures. And again, see the pattern here? We want to know who this person is that we're capturing, so that when we turn them over to the company, they can literally go, hey, thank you for keeping this person in order. We can just send that batch of files over to that employee. They can choose which headshot that they want. That's what will go up on our marketing material, our website, however they want to use it. And in this case, you'll see that there are multiple ones where there's 1 of 2, 2 of 2, and that's because they did a 4x5 and then a really weird passport type of a crop, which is a 1778 by 2.5. So these crops are, even though they look pretty much the same, they're very vastly different. So I'll show you this one. This is 1 of 2. If we go into this image right here, you can see in the develop module, this is in the crop, this is very much a 4x5 image. And yeah, it was shot really early in the morning, so the camera was a little tilted. That's why you see 2.7 degrees of turn, because who shoots straight at 7 in the morning? even with a lot of coffee. So let's go back to the other image. Oh, since all of these are selected, I'm like, oh, I'm not seeing them. Let's go back to this one. This is the other image, 800, or the green one, and the green one in the develop module in the crop. This one's a 1778. So yeah, this one is the 1778 because it's in green. This one is the 4x5. See the difference? The HR crop, I'm going to call this one, in the green is much narrower, and then this one. So they had a specific that they wanted a regular crop, headshot crop, and then they also wanted a much narrower one for HR. Could be for employee badging, could be for their website. I mean, I don't really know, but the specifics were that they wanted two different types of crops. So let's get back into the library and back to our situation that we had here between this file and this file, being that this one was 9998 right here, and then this one was 0002. And the resulting problem is when you export all these, and I'm going to show you what I did when I got on the phone with Adobe, why this was so puzzling, is I selected from here to here because that gives me 3 sets of data, one complete one where they all stayed together, and then another set of this one through this one, these all stay together, and this one through this one, these all stay together. But it was just this one through this one that got split in half. So I'll show you what happened. So when I got on the phone with Adobe, I said, let me show you 3 sets of data. And I'm saying these are 3 headshots. What happened is I showed them the demo, and this is what happened. They looked at this and went, hey, wait a second. 800, which is 002, remember this is 0002, begins at the file, the beginning. And then the other ones are down here. Why did they get split? Well, here's what happens. Your camera records the file number. It also records a capture date and time. What happens is the file number goes into Lightroom, and then when you export, the Lightroom says, hey, operating system, I'm sending you files. Here's the information you'll need. Here is a file number that we can uniformly agree to, that's the name of the file, right? So this file right here is named 9998 C3 because it's a raw file by Canon, but when we export it, we're on the 9998, so that's this one. When we export it, what happens is Lightroom says, here's the file number. Lightroom gives it to the operating system. The operating system says, thank you, I got the file. I'm writing the file by the name that you gave me. But because the operating system needs to work differently, what it does is it takes the information and says, your new time and date is May 15th, 2025 at 2:26 p.m. That's not 4:48:34 in the morning, right? Because this JPEG was created by the operating system from Lightroom at this time. We're not rewriting CR3s, we're not exporting raw files, we're exporting JPEGs. These are baked down files, colors baked in, the final dimensions are baked in, edits are baked in. This is a brand new file. And so when this gets written, it gets a brand new time that it was created. And if you come back and you bring it into Photoshop or something and you modify it and then save it back as the same file name, that's when the modified file will get changed. So hopefully that didn't go over your guys' head for technical stuff, but a lot of photographers, they lose their files because they don't know this basic information, how Lightroom sees things, and then how it hands off to your Mac or your PC, because the PC will do exactly the same thing. It'll say, I created it on this date because it's a JPEG, and this is what I got. It's not the raw file, guys. So like, let's really pay attention here on this one, because what happened is, this is 9998. Remember, file number 799 over here. This is the file 9998, right? And that's this one. But the problem is, the employee number is clear back over here, and this is the start of this set, and it's 9994. So what exactly happened? Because when we're looking at all of these, like 9994 through 9998, these are all in sequential numerical order, right? But the problem that we're having is this one when we get to 0002, which is this file number right here. See, 0002? That is the problem, and because 002 is much smaller, or comes earlier on the numerical chart of numbers than 9994, that's why this set of photos are very much different and away from what should logically be all together, because we are looking at this in Lightroom that shows us all the files together. So how do we solve this? Well, with a different type of export. So what I ended up doing was, while on the phone with Adobe, really had to walk through all of this on the screen and said, what the heck happened? The guy was so nice that he gave me this crazy, stupid document, and it says Lightroom export by capture time. I'm having a problem exporting my edited images from Lightroom, having them all stay in capture time. I have them in capture time within Lightroom, but when they're exported, they're in a completely random order. They're not in a random order, they're in the number of the file number assigned by the camera. So the guy literally didn't understand, or this woman here, Alicia, from November 3rd, 2020, didn't understand what the problem was. And this guy, later in the day, answered the question. DJ answered it kind of right, but not really correct. But they said this is one of the reasons why I always rename the original files based on the capture timestamp. That's sorted by the capture time. But this isn't in Lightroom Classic. And I'll show you that. There's no timestamp that you can export by capture timestamp. It doesn't exist. I'll show you that in a moment. Every digital camera has used these options for files created, and this is funny where it says somewhere between 10,000 and 999 shots are then goes back to 1. Well, yeah, but like if your camera only like this guy is saying for his Leica only does 1,000 shots and then it goes over, like I don't think he's right, because it's 4 digits, which means you got to get to 9999, which means 1 to 9999 is what, 10,000 shots? So every 10,000 shots the numbers should start repeating. Now if you're an event shooter or a wedding shooter and you're shooting a multi-day event or wedding, you're going to run into this problem. Or if you're like us and oblivious to where the number count was on the R3, or it just happened to be in the middle of our day when we're shooting, the numbers rolled over because of multiple jobs. This is just something you need to be aware of, and you'll run into this problem at some point. So that's why I'm making this video, is to show you how to solve this splitting of images when Lightroom's showing them correctly, but your output is anything but correct, and you're scratching your head, probably pulling all your hair out, going, why? And then you're on tech support with Adobe with some guy with a really thick accent or a woman with a thick accent, and you have no idea what in the heck they're saying. And you're like, can I please just get on the phone with you? Can you please just get on my screen so that we're not fighting over the mouse and the keyboard? And yes, I called Adobe 3 times. 3 days later, they called me back and gave me the answer, because once I had him on the phone and I had the screen in front of him, I showed him what the problem was, and then he was able to walk me through what the solution is. So that's the whole premise of this whole video, is showing you what the solution is so you don't have to deal with this. But in the meantime, I thought by reading this information right here of put a sequence number into the export files, yes, maybe that will work. But no, because I'm too stupid, because this is what I ended up doing. I said, let's export based off of sequence numbers. And if you guys are following around pretty closely already, I'm going to call this demo number 2. I'm going to turn on my rename to custom settings. I'm going to change this to file name plus sequence. So it's going to show up as the file name and then a 1. And I apologize because I didn't actually use this preset. What I actually did was I did file name without the hyphen in there, so it's just minute. So what happened is, take a wild guess. Still had the same problem, except now I had dash 20, 21, 20. Like, wait a second. I thought these were supposed to be put in order, but they're not in order. So when Adobe called me back 3 days later, I shared with him all this information, and I shared with him what I tried, and I shared with him the fact that the Adobe representative who threw up this nice community discussion from 5 years ago, 4.5 years ago, gave me this and said, your solution's here on this page, didn't say another word, and I said, yeah, they're describing it, but it's not. This isn't the answer. And he says, read it again, and then he disconnects. Okay, Adobe, if you watch this video and you just heard that, shame on you. Shame on you for having an employee that throws up a community guideline, which I could find this if I really wanted to read it at midnight. But shame on you for disconnecting after throwing up a document that does not say how to do this. Because it does say, has the ability to rename and add a sequence number. But a better answer to this would be going, hey, let me show you how to write a sequence number so that the files show up correctly. So, with this video, that's what I'm going to do for you guys. I'm going to show you the way to handle this. And again, most of you guys will never come across this problem because it's really going to be those people that shoot 10,000 photos and you're in this this little issue of you're continuous or you're in rewrite and you end up in this cycle. And again, the problem comes mainly between this number of 9998 or 9999 and 002 or 0001, where they separate out and they're in the wrong order because of that. Not random order, wrong order. So this guy who said it's in complete random order, it's not in complete random order, he wasn't paying attention to the files. So that's why I'm kicking this dead horse over and over and over, is because a lot of people, a lot of photographers aren't technical enough to know how Lightroom hands off a file name to your operating system to rewrite it. So let's get into what the correct solution is. When you go in here to export your problem, you've discovered that this is the rollover problem. You go to export. So I'm going to put this as demo 2, and I purposely did these beforehand so that we're not waiting for 3-4 minutes for these exports. You come in here to edit, and what you're going to do is, let me delete this, is you're going to come in here and you're going to say, I need a sequence number. Insert the sequence number, hyphen, and then give me the original file name. I'm sorry. Let's get rid of that. Let's put in the original file name. So you can see right up here, 1, and then the file name. Now, remember what I was telling you? It does it by numerical order. So if it sees a 1 there, it's literally going to start putting them in the correct order based off of your export. This file is going to be number 1, right here, this guy, 774 right here. He's going to be number 1, and then his file name. So when we hit done here, you can see 1, and we're going to see the file name, right? And when we hit done and we export all of these, this is going to be the result. The result is this guy right here, number 1, right? Number 1, and then this guy a little bit further down. Look at that. All of his images are together. And then when we came to the next guy, this is our third guy, his ID badge, and everybody. And nobody's mixed up. Nobody's out of order. There's no split order because we chose to put a sequence before the file name. And again, guys, I apologize for not having the hyphen in there, as I said I would as in my demo, but I wanted to pump out these things quick so I could spend more time explaining this than watching the clock counter tick. So guys, I really hope this helps solve that problem where your camera overwrites files. And by the way, if you're shooting continuously on your SD card or your other memory cards, whatever your memory card might be, and you're not formatting them for every new session, you're really running the risk of damaging your card. So let's talk about that really quick. Really quick. This is a safety thing to keep your files safe. I'll probably make another video on just backups, but the most important thing you can ever do is once you have exported all your files onto your computer and save them to your hard drive, you put that card back in your camera and you reformat it in the camera, because that is the correct operating system and that is the filing system that your camera must read and work with. So by doing that, you're never going to have a problem of ruining a card, unless you do number 2. And number 2 is looking on the back of your camera and you're like, oh, that one was horrible, I'm going to delete that. Or your friend pressured you, delete that file right now, I can't stand it, delete it, I look ugly. Don't. Literally don't. If you have a Canon camera, you get this button on the upper left of your camera called the rate button. Learn how to use it, because when you rate it, you can give it a 1 to 5 stars automatically, and then you can go pull those out later and go, okay, I remember Jenna wanted me to get rid of this, and you can delete that file later. But if you're deleting files off of your card on your camera, you're telling the operating system, I don't want this picture or this file, and then what it'll do is it'll tell the record on that file, this is getting a little deep, guys, it will literally tell the catalog on that file, ignore this space of memory between this picture and this picture, essentially. But it's actually going to give it an address name, and it's going to say ignore all the data here. And then if you shoot so many photos that the card goes, hey, I'm out of space on this card, file table, where can I use more space? It'll say, hey, look at over here, we marked these as deleted files. It will then use that space. Meaning, I'm going to give you a visual really quick right here. Say you shot all of these pictures. Now your memory card's full. But you decided you're going to delete this photo. You're going to delete this photo. You're going to delete this photo. So now you're taking more and more pictures, right? And you're going to take this picture, this picture, this picture, this picture, and now your memory card's full. We removed 1, 2, 3. Okay, now your memory card's full. What's going to happen on the memory card is the moment you go to try to take this picture, there's no more room. So your camera says, hey, where can I write this? What it'll do is say, hey, I deleted this picture. Go ahead and take this data and write it right there. Now, you'll never see this part of it, but what will happen is because it's taking new data and writing it over old data, that's an opportunity for your memory card to actually get corrupted. Because what if the size of this file or the information in this file, for some oddball reason, overlaps the amount of space this previous file took up, in which case what it may need to do is it may need to take and write this file not only in this space, but partially one of those other deleted spaces, and then try to say, hey, this picture right here is actually made up of space from here and here. Do you guys kind of see what I'm talking about? What this is called fragmentation. And if you have fragmentation on a memory card, that's pretty dangerous because it can literally cause corruptible memory cards, corrupt files, and it gets hard to recover those. That's when you usually have to pay somebody like me to find a way of recovering those files. So what you want to do is you really want to copy all of the data. So let's do this all over again, okay? So you say all of these files, these 19 files, say this fills up all of your memory card, and you're on the back of your camera it says memory card full. You want to take that, you want to shut off your camera, you want to take this memory card out. You want to put it somewhere safe, you want to put a new memory card in there, and now what happens is this new memory card writes all of the data on it, it gets full, you're good. All right? When you go to empty your memory cards, you really want to copy. You want to take all of your information and copy from the memory card to your computer, not move, because if you move, what it's going to do is, based off of the file structure on your memory card and how your camera is talking to it, it could move this one, it could move this one, it could move this one, and then it'll start moving this one, this one, this one, this one. And what that does is it causes a potential corruption on your memory card again. So if you want to keep your pictures safe, you want to handle them in the order that they were shot. So the moment that your memory card's full, great. Change out your memory card. Fill up your next memory card, great. That one's full, change out your next memory card. That's what you want to do. When you never, ever, ever delete pictures off your memory card, off the back of your camera, okay? When you get home and you want to take all your pictures off the memory card, you want to take all your pictures and you want to copy them from the memory card to your hard drive working location. Once they've been copied and they've been confirmed copied, then you can take your memory card, put it back in your camera, and reformat it in the camera. These safety steps are there so that you don't corrupt your memory cards. All right, you guys, that is way too much content for this. I probably did this video like 3 times, 4 times, and I just wanted you to be safe with your memories and know how Lightroom works a little bit deeper. So this was a technical dive. If you have any questions about other issues with Lightroom or about situations with your camera and how Lightroom interact or your computer, type them below. I will read all the comments and I will help you out. I'll probably make a new video about it. Anyway, I hope this helps some of you guys out there and gave you a deeper understanding of what it is that I know. And I'll be more than happy to work with you guys online to sort your problems. Have a great day.